We drink tequila. We talk.
Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, that's nice and light.
That's good.
I like it.
Very Four Seasons.
I dig it. I can see where he's coming from with this. Welcome, everyone, to Team Tequila Talks. And you just came in on Sherry and I sampling the latest concoction by Mark Strong from the House of Strong. He calls it a Paloma. I actually like to call it the antioxidant powerhouse margarita.
Feels that way going down.
It sure does. It's actually very smooth. It's very light. It was a lot lighter than I was expecting.
Yes, because you see the color and you think, oh, fruity, cakey, syrupy.
It's very pink. It looks like it should taste like the strawberry margarita that your parents ordered at a nice Radisson by the beach.
It totally does.
But it doesn't. Well, first of all, it does look better than that. It's just very pink.
Looks elevated. This looks
It is elevated.
Elevated pink.
It is elevated, and I think that the coconut water base is really what's helping it go down.
Yes.
So let's tell you what's in it. We're going to introduce you to the Paloma, aka the powerhouse antioxidant. Wait, I said antioxidant powerhouse margarita.
Antioxidant Powerhouse Margarita,
Coming up with nicknames is hard.
aka Paloma.
Paloma. In case you guys haven't noticed, it is just Miss Sherionne and I today, Cassandra Amell, Sherionne Gonzalez, and we are here for a special episode with the Powerhouse Duo.
Ooh.
Introducing you to the Powerhouse Antioxidant Margarita.
I love that.
So we really wanted to get into the types of drinks that we like to drink with tequila, in addition to some of the health benefits. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of them today.
Woo.
A bunch. In this drink specifically, we're looking at coconut water, grapefruit juice, ginger juice, pomegranate, lime juice, and a little bit of agave, pure agave, with a nice high-end tequila, Avion Tequila. And we usually mix all of our tequila drinks with some type of beneficial ingredient, whether that is something with antioxidants or something with ginger that's going to really benefit the gut and help offset some internal inflammation. This one really has a lot of electrolytes, minerals, and antioxidants. So that's going to help your body and your immune system from the inside out.
Yes, because we all are concerned with gut health. Bloating is a huge issue in America. Everyone's always bloated after they eat the first meal in the morning. But if you take a ginger shot in the morning, not with tequila, not recommended to take a tequila shot in the morning, unless you're on vacation and it's that kind of the morning.
Yeah, it could be a vacation weekend.
Right?
Let's put the good stuff in, the healthy stuff, the cleansing stuff, and then we'll get to the happy hour, right?
That's what I'm talking
I mean,
about.
that's what life's all about, balance.
Yes. So let's talk about grapefruit, one of the star ingredients in this Poma.
Well, first we're going to talk about Avion, right?
Oh,
we're using
yes.
Avion Tequila, which is one of Mark Strong from the House of Strong's favorites, because it is very mixable and it is a very clean, smooth, high-end tequila.
Which is always important here at Team Tequila Talks.
Very
So
important.
Avion, their Blanco, has won an award. San Francisco World Spirits Competition. It's aged 2 years, and that competition is actually not an easy competition. You have some of the biggest brands it's a big convention where they go, and you get a lot of press out of these events. And you have some of the finest sommelier tequilas.
Did you just make up that word?
I did. I'm trying to see if it works. A sommelier, a tequila.
A sommelier is a wine expert, but it's not as simple as being a wine aficionado. You actually have to go through thousands, maybe not thousands, but a lot of hours of training and working in the field. And I think you have to do blind taste tests.
You have
and
to be.
It is not simple or easy to get a sommelier certification. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. You go into a restaurant, you say, oh, I'd like to pick out a nice bottle of wine. Could you please send over your sommelier? And a lot of times that person might not actually be a certified sommelier. It's just usually an enthusiastic bartender.
Yes. And I want to point this out with sommeliers in general, that it's a genetic gift. You have to be able to taste minerality, region, the type of grape, when it's grown, I mean, let's give it up for the sommeliers. And honestly,
Absolutely. That's
we
a
should
tough
try
job.
we should try to figure out if there's some tequila licensing.
Tequila.
Yes, I kind of like the tequila. So let's talk about Avion. So they won this award in 2011, 2012 for their Blanco, which is aged 2 years. They harvest by hand in Jalisco, Mexico. And they're harvested by a family's team of jimadores. And jimadores is a Spanish word for agave plant pickers.
Not to be confused with the brand of tequila, El Jimador, correct?
Correct. They use a slow roasting process in brick ovens for 3 days. The low temperatures perfectly caramelize the agave, bringing out the natural sweetness and rich flavors. They also they do small batch distillation, and they distill it in small pots handmade in Jesus Maria.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Years. But I think it tastes pretty well mixed. I mean, as our rule here, we always say you mix a Blanco and you sip.
A reposado or an añejo. That's
Correct.
Yep. So that's what we did here. And I feel like this is very smooth. I am honestly not even really tasting the tequila much. I'm really tasting the coconut water. I feel like I feel like it's coconut water forward.
Yeah, I feel like, did Mark forget to put the tequila in here?
No, he did not. He would never forget to put the tequila in here. It's just that smooth. It's just that well blended of a recipe. We should start off by reading this recipe. That way people can know exactly what we're working with in terms of ratios. So for this, I'd say it made about a liter. So, this is about a liter. So this is going to give you several cocktails out of it. So this would be very nice if you had a few people over for happy hour, or you were doing a fun Taco Tuesday, something like that, and wanted a fun margarita for it. This is 14 ounces of coconut water. And again, you want to make sure that you're choosing a coconut water where there's no added sugars. Coconut water is naturally going to have sugar in it because it is a fruit. It's a botanical fruit, even though it says nut in the word coconut. It is not a tree nut. It is a botanical fruit. So it's going to naturally have sugars, but we don't want added fructose or even cane sugar or anything like that. Check the label. Check the label. 1 grapefruit, blended and strained. You could do this with a juicer. You could do it with a hand press. You could even do it with a, manual. What is it? It's just a manual juicer, or the thing that you put.
I almost said mandolin, and I'm like,
No,
Sherry,
that's a shaver.
your words. I know, but it's a juicer. It's a handheld 1950s juicer.
That's right. 3 tablespoons fresh ginger juice. You can purchase fresh ginger juice, but I personally, and I know certainly Mark, speaking for him, he would vouch for this. It's best if you take the ginger root and you press it yourself. It's understandable if that is not available to you at all times, but if you've got the time, you want to invest in a high quality cocktail to start off your weekend, I would absolutely recommend just pressing some ginger, getting some fresh ginger juice.
I agree.
Next up, pomegranate, blended and strained. We've all seen the pomegranate seeds. They're super messy. Really messy. You can just buy the pomegranate seeds already peeled and picked and separated. Absolutely what I would recommend, because your hands will be purple for a day or two if you try. It takes a long time. Although it's kind of like a stress ball.
It is. It is.
Have you ever sat there and tried to pull out all of the individual seeds?
Absolutely.
And it's almost like you're just burning off some stress or just getting out some anxious energy.
Yeah, because it's like a million of them the seeds in there. It's like maybe like 300. I'm gonna go with
a million. Million seems high.
Okay, 300, 275, 160. It's 160 seeds per pomegranate and pomegranate.
Is this like the game where you have to guess how many jelly beans are in the jar?
Yes.
Yeah. Pomegranate, or tequila, which in this case, as Sherry mentioned, we used Avion, a little bit of lime juice. And again, we don't do just lime with tequila by itself in this room generally, but it is a nice base for margaritas and certain cocktails. And then a dash of agave. This is really up to you. This is really your call if you want to make it a bit sweeter, if you want to make it nice and light as we like it. So again, that's 14 ounces of coconut water, 1 grapefruit blended and strained, 3 tablespoons fresh ginger juice, 1 pomegranate blended and strained, 1 cup of tequila, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, and agave to taste.
Yes.
So this antioxidant powerhouse margarita Why are antioxidants so important, you might ask? So antioxidants your body's gonna naturally produce these. And for those of you who don't know what an antioxidant is, it is a molecule that is gonna fight off any type of free radical in your body. What's a free radical? A free radical is something that enters your body that's not really supposed to be there. So we're talking anything from air pollutions to household cleaning chemicals, mold, dust, allergens.
Secondhand cigarette smoke.
Secondhand cigarette smoke. So even there are small levels of carbon monoxide. So free radicals are when your body is absorbing things from an outside environment that are not supposed to be in your body. They're not supposed to find a home there. A lot of times this can turn into bacteria, viruses, fungus. And those things can grow in your body, set off your chemistry, mess up your gut biome, microbiome. You know, there are lots of things that these free radicals can get in and either straight up make you sick or just sort of take away from your everyday health and wellness. You're going to get a lot of free radicals on your own. You were born with an immune system. It's going to do its job. However, there's nothing wrong with a little booster and help along the way.
A little help.
So a lot of these antioxidants can be found. Fruits and berries are very rich sources of antioxidants. Berries, especially, you always hear about acai being the miracle wonder fruit, and it's because it's so high in antioxidants. These antioxidants are going to be found in the form of vitamin C, vitamin E, flavonoids, and they are going to help you stay healthy and help clear out a lot of the things that might be causing inflammation all over your body, in your gut, in your lymph nodes, in your fat cells. Because when your fat cells are storing toxins, what happens? They swell up, and we don't want that here.
No, we do not.
So we chose this specifically because all of our ingredients, grapefruit, ginger, pomegranate, even coconut, are going to have these antioxidants that are ultimately going to work in several different ways in symphony, to work your way to boost your immune system, help with that glow, and offset the tequila aspect.
I mean, and the tequila is also a probiotic, antibiotic. We're here giving you the tea literally in tequila.
That is correct. So you're going to see a lot of, as we go through these, you're going to see some recurring themes, I think. But let's hit it off with the grapefruit.
Let's talk about our pal Grapefruit. You may know Grapefruit. I used to watch I Love Lucy as a kid, and I don't know.
too.
And she used to wake up in the morning and have her piece of toast, half the grapefruit in half, and just eat it. And as a kid, I was like, I want to do what I Love Lucy does. It was disgusting because I was like, this is not sweet. And my grandma was like, here, put some sugar over it. And I was like, oh, much better. But
then you're dousing it in sugar.
I know. But as an adult, I would never, ever defile a grapefruit that way. But it's very low in calories. A medium-sized grapefruit has about 52 calories. Where if you want to start your morning off or your Friday off right, and you want to do a mixed cocktail, grapefruit is your friend.
Do you remember the grapefruit diet? It was a big fad in the 80s. I think my parents might have done it at some point.
Yes.
And we had these special spoons that were serrated on the side specifically for grapefruits. And you'd go in and you'd kind of saw the grapefruit and kind of eat out the segments one by one. And people swore by that. And it turns out the reason that didn't have longevity is because it wasn't the grapefruit itself, even though there are some very magical properties to it.
It does have a weight loss property to it. And they
does.
kind of took it and ran with it just a teeny bit. You can't eat grapefruit in the morning and only eat grapefruit all day and then have fried chicken smothered in mayonnaise with white bread in the night.
That's not going to work.
No. But it is 13 grams of carbohydrates, which if you are following a very natural sugar diet, I don't even like to say low carb. I like to say a natural sugar diet where the foods you get are from actual natural sugars. So it also is extremely high in vitamin C. I was kind of surprised. 64% of the recommended daily intake for vitamin C has a bunch of vitamin A, about 30%, potassium, thiamine, folate, and magnesium. So it's like when you talk about B vitamins, zinc, copper, and iron, you don't really think of grapefruit. I know when I was researching this, I don't think of zinc. I mean, I think of zinc, but not copper.
That would probably not be my go-to. No,
it wouldn't be my go-to for
the
max.
first thing that I would name.
But it's kind of nice that you're getting a little teeny bit of those extra minerals and types of B vitamins. Basically, grapefruit is has been linked to weight loss, which we already covered, and it has fewer calories. And I thought I was surprised, it has 94 or 82% water in a grapefruit.
Right, so it's very filling. That's why they tell you to snack on fruit, because it's filling, and you're also getting the hydration factor. And the hydration is key when you are putting alcohol into your body, because if you're not offsetting the dehydrating effects that a lot of alcohols can have, and that is minimized with tequila, but it does exist, you need to be putting electrolytes in your body, which brings us crucial coconut water.
Yes.
Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that coconut water is very hydrating. The key mineral being potassium. That's a big one. It has more potassium than a banana, one serving does.
Yes.
And it also has a bunch of electrolytes. It's got magnesium, and it's got sodium, it's got calcium. So it's basically like drinking a Gatorade without all of the chemical dyes, the preservatives, the mass amounts of sugar in it. It's just a much better solution. It's nature's Gatorade.
Yes, I mean, for me, I know if I rarely try to be hungover people, but sometimes these things happen when you're out having a great time.
Life happens.
And I stock up on 100% coconut water because to me, it's better than like Pedialyte and like all the other things. Like I know my girlfriend does vitamin water. I'm like, why? You're just drinking sugar.
It's a lot of sugar.
But the electrolytes in this, after you get home, if you can remember to down it, bang, you're good.
You are. Other benefits of coconut water are going to include lowered blood pressure, weight loss, increased athletic performance.
You always like that.
In case you're thinking about running a race.
Yes.
Boosted energy, lowered cholesterol, reduced cellulite. Hello.
I mean, I'm into that.
Me too. And relaxed muscle tension. So that's going to help with any cramping, especially if you had tequila the night before and you want to hit the gym, which is a regular item on our agenda.
I'm saying sweat it out, people. I'm a big believer. If you're feeling a teeny bit slow, just hop in, do a yoga class, a little HIIT class.
I would agree. Sweat it out. You always feel better after. Always. It's really hard at the time, but then once you get it going and you really get moving, I feel like when you do sweat it out, it's actually sweat out of you, and you feel so much better.
I'm a believer of if you have a gym membership somewhere, of working out and hopping in the sauna or in the steam room for like 5 minutes. If you can handle it. I know, look, you're already dehydrated, so I don't know. But you hydrate while you're in there. It's a whole mechanism. So if you have like a job interview the next day and you kind of like went ham the night before, it's probably good to...
You go ham the night before a job interview, huh?
Some people sometimes get so excited about the job interview. They're like, I can't believe I landed this interview. You're like, well, let's go out for a celebration cocktail for good luck.
Then you're supposed to do that after you get the job. No judgment here.
I'm a pre-celebrator. I pre-celebrate things. I'm a pre-celebrator.
Well, if you're a pre-celebrator and I'm a post-celebrator, I guess we're just going to be celebrating all the time. Cheers. Cheers on that.
Mm-hmm.
Pomegranate.
Let's talk about the tiny seeds that take forever to de-seed in the pomegranate.
And turn your hands purple.
Yes, and I have to say, when you buy pomegranate juice, a lot of them are pasteurized. So you want to be very, very careful because that strips the vitamin C.
Check your labels.
And then they have to put vitamin C back in there. And that's just not the type of vitamin C we're trying to get down with. So,
well, it's usually ascorbic acid.
Ascorbic acid.
It is not a whole vitamin. And so when you're working with a fruit and you're working with the whole fruit, you're getting all the benefits and you're getting the microscopic pieces of fiber, like when we're juicing a grapefruit.
Yes.
Because there's actually fiber in this cocktail right now because we are using whole fruits.
Yes, I agree. Pomegranate contains more than 100 phytochemicals. And just a quick thing on phytochemicals. I looked up the phytochemicals, and honestly, people, I'm like, wow. Who even thought that the word chemical can be an actual benefit to your body? Because when I see chemical, I look for cleaning products, food. I'm always like labeling, like for, I don't use bleach in my house, but I'm like, oh no. Chemicals sound bad, but phytochemicals, if you have a moment to Google, there's over 100 of them in it, too long of a list to go over today. But Google, people, because I'm like, wow, that's like thousands of years of medicine. Pomegranates, I don't know if you've ever looked at ancient Rome, or they have the pomegranate symbol is like a symbol of life in some of these ancient Egyptian. It was like a symbol of wealth and life in the ancient Egyptian pyramids.
Well, it looks very exotic and decadent.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
It does. It's one of the fruit that contains the highest level of antioxidants, more than green tea and red wine.
Okay, so you should be drinking this antioxidant margarita instead of red wine at the end of the evening.
3 times more.
One more bonus point for tequila.
I'm telling you. And The antioxidants in pomegranate juice can help remove free radicals that protect cells from damage and reduce inflammation. And inflammation is a bugger because when you think inflammation, you think, oh, I'm sick, I have a cold. Inflammation is in your body daily, and a lot of the times is sugars and carbs are responsible for consistently inflaming your body to where you feel tired. You're sluggish in the morning when you wake up.
You're talking about chronic inflammation.
Yes. 40% of your daily requirement of vitamin C, it can be found in our friend the pomegranate. So I think pomegranate is like a rock star here.
Well, we're talking about anti-inflammation, and ancient medicine, ginger, is going to give pomegranate a run for its money.
Hey.
So ginger has gingerol, which sounds like a soft beverage, I think, but it's not. Gingerol is basically the substance that's found in ginger, and it is very powerful, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and they are now even starting some studies because they are showing links that it has protective effects against cancer. Ooh. So they're getting into the specifics of which cancers and how you would treat. But if you were taking it preventatively, that's obviously it is just one more reason because it can't hurt. Ginger also helps a lot with nausea, and this is obviously you're not going to be drinking tequila if you have morning sickness, but just in general, if you are pregnant right now and listening to this and you are on a bit of a tequila hiatus but just trying to educate yourself for when you are not, go get some ginger.
Go get some
a little queasy.
Ginger and replace the tequila with like an unflavored sparkling grapefruit.
You could 100% make this cocktail and not put tequila in it. And I think it would taste just as good in terms of the flavor profile.
Yes.
And you're going to get all of these benefits. So that is a good note too. If you are having people over and you have some people that are not drinking, which always happens at my house, to make this and to have this on standby, it looks beautiful, it tastes delicious, and it is a perfect mocktail, in my opinion.
I think so.
It's a pro-health mocktail.
Yes.
Other things with ginger is it reduces symptoms of osteoarthritis, it lowers blood sugar levels, improves various heart disease risk factors in people with type 2 diabetes, which we've talked about how tequila, if you do have type 2 diabetes and you are going to drink, it is much better to drink a 100% blue agave tequila. Obviously, talk to your doctor. Don't just start pounding tequila because we said so, because who the hell are we? Just other than some tequila enthusiasts. So
we're tequiliers.
That is not, we're working on it.
We're working on it.
But that is not medical advice. Please do not take that as medical advice. Ginger absolutely helps with emptying your stomach. So if you have indigestion or digestive issues, it basically dissolves everything in your stomach and moves it right along.
Like in the morning, I like to start my day with, I do like an immunity shot. It has ginger, it has turmeric, it has black pepper, because black pepper activates the turmeric. And I do it on an empty stomach because I just want to set my stomach up for success for the day.
Absolutely. I do the same thing. I rotate my morning shots. Sometimes it's apple cider vinegar or a blend, but all of these are very beneficial to the gut. And I remember after I was pregnant, I had gut problems for a very long time. Just body chemistry and diet changes and things just being kind of generally out of whack. And I was very concerned. I went to the doctor and said, I'm having chronic stomach pains. I'm worried that there's something very wrong. I did an endoscopy. I was on the hunt. And a lot of these apple cider vinegar, turmeric, and ginger natural remedies, I have no stomach problems now. None. And this is granted years of use and just sort of building up to it. But I could say without a doubt that they contributed to my personal gut well-being.
And I think that's important because I do think health and the wellness space is going more towards kind of designer. Like, you ever heard that statement say hack your own body?
Biohacking.
But yes, basically, where it's like what workouts work best for your body type? What diet works best for you?
Well, there's all of these 23andMe and all of these genopalettes and these tests where you swab your cheek or you spit in a tube and they run your DNA and say, hey, keto might work great for your boyfriend, but you should not be on keto. And that makes sense. I know so many people and they would be a couple and they both go on keto and one person would thrive and drop 20 pounds immediately and the other person would just be miserable and have flu-like symptoms and actually swell up and gain weight. And it's because different bodies need different things
100%.
to really thrive and be at 100%.
Yes, I mean, I did keto, as you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And
you had the strips and everything.
Yes, I did the keto strips to make sure I was still in ketosis, all this thing. I ended up gaining weight, people, which if that's your goal, that's cool. But I don't do little 1 month situations to gain weight.
You were miserable, too.
I was miserable.
You hated it.
My gut was so mad at me, like to the point where my husband's like, here's a Snicker. And I don't even eat Snickers, but he was just like, you need your sugar levels.
Well, your body was just craving carbohydrates
Yes.
at that point.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of choose your carbohydrates selectively.
Yes.
Do not waste your carbohydrates on processed sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all about balance and just sort of a general health mindset. But at the end of the day, some people can thrive without carbohydrates. Most people cannot.
No,
you
brain.
you need some level of carbohydrates.
Yes.
And ginger, just to wrap up the ginger pros and cons, there's no cons really, other
No
than
cons.
it's got a little kick to it.
Well, spicy. It's a little spicy.
It is an ancient spice, but especially as it pertains, it can help lower cholesterol. But more importantly, especially as it pertains to women, i.e., the people sitting in this room, it can help. Do you know what dysmenorrhea is?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
In the front there.
It's a menstrual cycle situation.
It is pain during your menstrual cycle. It's a very fancy name for it. I think we usually just call it cramps or PMS.
It has the word men in it again. Like I just
Dysmenorrhea.
see dysmen. You know what I mean? Menstrual.
We're probably going to get a comment being like, you guys aren't even saying it right.
Oh man, doctors, help us out. Just phonetically, just like type it in the comments or something.
With some hyphens and some accents.
Yeah.
It also can help with brain function, specifically in middle-aged women. I'm not saying we're middle-aged yet.
Ain't nobody middle aged.
I'm not saying. I'm
'Cause
just saying
okay,
that
because
at some point it will probably apply to us.
middle age. What is the life expectancy? Let's say life expectancy 100. Let's just say
What?
I don't
That's
know.
high.
You think that's high?
I think it's high. I think life expectancy is probably 85.
The Queen of England and her husband was 90 something when he died.
We're
She was
talking
100.
about the queen who probably has a daily
Ginger?
doctor IV. She probably is drinking ginger every
Daily
day.
ginger.
She should be.
She's doing antioxidants.
What's her secret?
Without Alzheimer's. She's like 98. No one. Her mother didn't have Alzheimer's. Her husband didn't have Alzheimer's. Guys.
She must be drinking ginger. So that is sort of the rundown of our antioxidants and all of the benefits of all of these ingredients. We're going to do so many more fun cocktails like this. Things that if you want to drink light, if you want to keep it to a quick happy hour, if you really want to have some energy, if you want to just sort of touch up and boost up your immune system as a whole. I'm really excited. We have a post-workout concoction coming up pretty soon. We will post this recipe online.
Yes.
Get excited. Make it for your weekend friends. Courtesy of Radar Online, let's have a cheers.
Let's cheers.
And Radar Online has provided us with a lovely list of what is happening in the world.
all the happenings. Well, let's get started with one of our faves here at Team Tequila, Jason Momoa.
Oh, yes.
The Dothraki himself.
I love a DC superhero.
I mean, he was in a bar in New York, minding his business, being the superstar that he is with all those muscles. I mean, I'm just saying. And there was a patron in the bar who probably was overserved, probably not drinking tequila.
I hate the term overserved.
I know, it takes
because
responsibility. I know.
It implies that someone held a gun to their head. And it implies that someone forced them to drink. And are we really going to put the blame on the person that is working their ass off behind the bar?
True facts.
Trying to make tips, trying to pay their rent, and then some drunk idiot's going to go, it wasn't my fault, I was overserved.
Well, I mean, so he overordered.
He overordered. He
So
overconsumed.
He overconsumed. So there was a patron in the bar overconsumed. He was being a bit belligerent. Ended up getting kicked out of the bar. Then runs back in, takes some lady's drink, slams the drink. Jason's in the lobby, sees the guy. Security's trying to get him out. Jason wraps the guy up, bear hugs him, and he couldn't get out of like what the bicep and the tricep and the traps, and he's probably using the lats too.
Most people would not want to get out of those muscles.
I was like, poor guy, you know, like darn. I know my friend who was gay. He was like, only a straight male would want to like, he was like, I just would have like melted into those arms
gone
and been
limp.
like, that's
Just gone full hot dog.
like a kid when they're 2 and they don't want you to pick them up and they just like noodle. Basically, Jason saved the day.
Of course he did.
Yes, and and tons. I looked at like probably like 10 different angles of this video, and he totally seems like he's unbothered. He's watching it happen. He's looking. He's having another conversation. Looks back, sees, and he's like, you know what? F this. Let me go solve this problem for you guys. Wraps him up, and they're like, everyone's like, that's Jason Momoa, and he was just like chucks him on the thing, goes back in, lights up a cigarette, or maybe not a cigarette. I don't want to say so. He lights up a friendly something, and he continues his day like nothing happened.
That's kind of, it reminds me of when you watch football games and some fan streaks onto the field or runs onto the field, naked or otherwise, and they don't show it that much on TV anymore because they've decided that they don't want to give these people attention. Frankly, I think that's the way to do it.
Yes.
However, if you go to a game in person, it does happen, and I love watching a defensive or a player or a linebacker just run. They always look over like, what the hell is this guy doing? Who the hell does he think he is? Almost like they're just annoyed that they held up the game, and they'll run over and pow! I think James Harrison has a famous clip.
Oh, I think so.
I would not want to get taken out by James Harrison.
I mean, what is he, 6 whatever and 300? I mean,
He is a bus.
I think these kids have a death wish. If you run on a football field with linebackers and like linemen, and I mean, you're just asking for it.
What do you think is going to happen? That they're just going to let you do it?
I mean, you know what? I don't understand people. Basically, the moral of the story is do not be belligerent in a bar where Jason Momoa is present unless you want him to wrap you up in a bear hug.
Wait until you see all the people lining up.
Are you kidding me? Like, I was telling my husband, I'm like, did you hear the story? And he was like, oh, I bet women are going to love the story.
Well, they're just going to start tracking him down, especially because he's single now.
Well, he is, but then I just read today, which is I was going to tell you about, him and Lisa are back. They're reconciling. They were seen together. That he moved back in. That's what reports say, people. I'm just saying what the reports are saying.
So they're talking.
Well, think about it. Dating sucks. We don't date. We have lots of single friends who date.
Our resident single friend, Mark Strong.
Yes.
Thank you for the margarita. Cheers.
Thank you.
Is not here today, but you will be seeing a lot of him.
Yes. And think about being single after being with someone for like 15 years and trying to go into that revolving door of dating. You might, well, you know what? I want that old thing back. You know, I'm just going to go back and make this work because this stuff is kind of crazy.
Well, also, he obviously loved her, had a family with her.
Yes.
This was not a fling. You see all the time in celebrity magazines where so-and-so off and on relationship, dating, not together, but seen holding hands. We saw that a lot with Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez.
Yes.
And I think that once there is real history in the picture, once there are children in the picture, sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side, especially if one or both partners are really going through some stuff.
Yes.
It's easy to say, oh, well, maybe this relationship isn't working, and then you remove the relationship from the picture, and then you take a hard look in the mirror.
Well, what is that saying? I have all the sayings, people, but this is actual saying that I think my granny came up with. Whereas, like, wherever you go, there you are. There is not a place you can't go to escape yourself. And sometimes relationships, you think, oh, this person is making me react this way, so therefore, and it's like, no, you do that to the guy at Trader Joe's too.
Correct. Yeah. You sure do. Yeah.
Next up, I think this story resonated in my soul. This is about JetBlue Airlines, or let's just, instead of saying JetBlue, let's just say P. Diddy's son, Quincy
Diddy.
Quincy, yep.
Is that correct? No.
Nope, that is incorrect. You do not pass go or collect $200. So Quincy is one of P. Diddy's son. He was on a red eye to Newark from LA, and he had a carry-on, and he had, let's call it a fanny pack, strap fanny pack, just for sake of a visual.
Can we call it a Merce?
Ooh, it's a man purse, a Merce, yes. The kind that straps to your front. And his assistant had it for whatever reason. They did not want him to bring this extra carry-on bag. Now, we all know when you have a carry-on, you get one you could put into the hole, or the hatch. Is it the hole? The
overhead compartment.
Overhead compartment.
Overhead compartment.
And then there's one, if you have a purse, you could put it under the seat in front of you, right? The flight attendant was like, nope. you do not get to take that on. That needs to be checked. And Quincy was like, absolutely not. It has jewelry in it. He had $100,000 worth of jewelry in it, and he had medication in there. And so he's like, I need it with me. They got into some sort of argument. The captain came out.
That's serious. The captain doesn't normally come out. That's usually a gate agent situation.
Yeah, but he was already, like, I guess the gate agent followed him down the beltway, and he was already in the plane getting to a seat, and the captain came out of the quarters and was like, snatched it out of his hand. Serious. And then he snatched it back. And I don't know how I feel about someone snatching your belongings out of your hand. That's not law enforcement.
That happened to me. So it was American Airlines. It was in New Orleans, and I was on a evening flight, probably 7:30 or so. And I had a carry-on and a personal item. It was a tote bag.
Okay.
Because those are the rules. You get one carry-on, which can be a wheelie bag. It has to fit a certain size requirement. And then you get one personal item, which can be a purse, a merce, a body fanny pack, or, you know, it also has to have size requirements. It has to fit in the little box. I had a carry-on bag, and it was one of the expandable bags that if you zip it, it either gets bigger or smaller. So when I had packed, what I normally do is I expand it all the way, zip it up, and then I close it to make it smaller. That's kind of what it's for, is it helps compress. So I get to the airport, and I had not done the little compression part of it. My bag was closed, but I hadn't done the squish part. So I get to the airport, and I get to the gate, and they say, ma'am, you have to check your bag. And I say, why? This is not a full flight. And they said, well, your bag is too big. I said, no, it's not. I will put it in the crate measuring tool. You know, they have them at the gate, and you have to put your bag in. And she would not let me. And I said, why are you not even letting me? I'm here to show you that my bag is not too big. It is a standard carry-on size. There's nothing else on top of it. And she snatched it out of my hand, pulled it away from me, and I said, please give me back my bag. And she said, if you want to board this flight, I'm not giving you back your bag. I am going to check it, or you can find another flight. And I was really perplexed because there was no greater issue here. I said, well, sure, why don't I measure it? And then she just snatched it out of my hand, and I think she was just having a bad day. And that's what this really comes down to, is who do you catch? Because you can bring the same bag over and over and over again on a flight, and then you get one gate agent that just decides it's not going to fly today, and it doesn't make any sense because it fits or because whatever. You just sometimes get the wrong person on the wrong day.
Yes, I agree. And I think Quincy got the wrong gate agent, the wrong flight attendant, and the wrong captain. Basically, how it ended is Quincy ended up on the floor, which I think he wasn't drunk. He wasn't causing an issue. He was like, I need my bag. It has my medicine in it. And I do think there's a better way to handle things. And I do think sometimes with the height of the country, everyone's all emotional about this and that and the third. I do think sometimes these things end up getting blown out of proportion. But P. Diddy is on the case. Diddy has spoken to JetBlue. And this is the thing about powerful daddies and mommies.
I was going to say, at what point does your dad come in and say, I'm going to go after the airline because of what you did to my son? How old is his son?
He's 26. So, yeah, he's
grown.
He's grown. But I always say, let me think about this for a moment. Because I feel like, my daughter's 8, and I'm pretty like, live your life. There's consequences for things that you do. But if you're not doing something that's disruptive, and there's just maybe sounds like a misunderstanding of his purse.
I can relate. I feel like that's what happened to me.
Yeah, and I feel like, but you end up on the ground. Now I feel like if that was my daughter and she was 26 and I saw video footage of it, and I'd be like, what?
That's excessive. Because mine started out as the same situation, and she was very stern, and it easily could have, it was such a moment where in my head I wanted to be like, why are you being such a bitch? But you don't say that to flight attendants. They're working hard. They're dealing with a lot of people, and God only knows what they have to deal with on a daily basis. So I always try to be very grateful and appreciative and patient with any and all flight crew, because you never know what happened in their funky city. They're the last funky city that they were in. You just don't know. And also, especially in these times, you will get put on a no-fly list. They will not hesitate.
And I think that was threatened, which is probably why Diddy got his lawyer. I mean, that's a big deal.
That is a very big deal. And at the end of the day, you got to remember that you're in public transportation. Airlines are public transportation. And my husband and I always talk about this when someone looks over and gets mad that there's a crying baby. And it's like, well, if you don't want to, first of all, there's noise canceling headphones.
I mean, this
everywhere.
is 2022.
If you didn't bring noise canceling headphones and you're going to complain about the noise, that's on you.
It's a you problem.
It's a you problem at this point. But you have to remember that you are dealing with public transportation. And if you are posing any type of threat to public security, they have the right to put you on a no-fly list.
Yes,
they just
it's federal aviation.
They just do.
Yes, I know. So let's just hope that this all settles. He says he'll never fly JetBlue again. He did an Instagram live, and it's always, the fans got riled up, and they were tweeting and Instagramming JetBlue, and then JetBlue released a statement, said that they are looking into this incident, that any type of use of anything excessive, and I'm sure they're looking into it a little bit harder than it was if it was like, Joe Schmo from some small town America, because it is Diddy. Diddy's like, oh, hell no.
Well, Diddy has probably lawyers on his payroll, and on top of that, he would blast people on Instagram or Twitter if anybody is in the wrong. That's a slippery slope.
It's better to just resolve it. So let's just hope that this gets resolved and he's not end up on any he's an actor. Quincy is an actor, so Diddy's son Quincy is an actor and a musician. He is on Power Book 2 Ghost, I think, right now. He's accomplished. He's been acting for a while now. Like he's doing his thing. So he's not just some kid that's just acting like an a-hole. He's actually going to go to work, which is where he was going. So.
I wonder what the rest of this story is, though, because I don't think that just because you have a powerful parent, you should get a pass. No. But also, it is quite possible that there was a gate agent or a flight attendant that was in the wrong, because you are allowed that second item. You are. And how big could a Merce or a body fanny pack really be? I think that there are probably a lot of things that the public is not seeing or hearing.
Yes, and I think, obviously if I'm JetBlue, I'd be like, you know what, cut my losses. Apologize, give them free, is there first class on JetBlue? No.
There's JetBlue Mint, I believe.
Oh, yeah, where they have the lay flat seats to New York.
Business class.
Yeah, I've taken one, actually. It's a red-eye to New York, JetBlue Mint, red-eye, lay flat seats. Yes. Well, let's hope that gets resolved. Moving on, we have Magic Mike himself. Ooh. Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan. They've been divorcing. They've been declared legally single since 2019.
They've been divorced for a while.
Well, they're not divorced. They've been declared legally single since 2019.
Legally single.
They have been in arbitration. They have decided to have a divorce package presented to a judge for them to sign off on it. And a lot of people are doing more and more of this when you don't want to go back and forth in the public record when you have small children. So they're meeting with an arbitrator. What is that person called?
I think you're thinking arbitrator in a courtroom. I think an arborator is like a tree specialist. That's an arborist.
Arborist, got it. Not a carburetor, not an arborist. But they're meeting with, they go to a room.
They go to arbitration.
Arbitration. And they've been doing this since 2019. They are hung up on the Magic Mike proceeds, the future earnings of the proceeds. Now, Jenna has moved on. She's had a child in the last 3 years, and she is engaged.
Congratulations.
So, girl, move on with your crystals. Love it.
Cheers.
So basically what they're arguing about is the future of Magic Mike proceeds. So he shot 2 films while they were married. The 3rd film has yet to come out. They have yet to go into production on that. And there is an HBO Max deal on the table for that, and also a Vegas show. So that's 3 areas of profiting, and she wants some of that back end. And I think what I read is he does not. He feels like that's future earnings, but because when you open a deal in your marriage, that she's entitled to those, and he feels like because she's had a kid and moved on. So what I read in the article, I kind of did some math and said, you know what, if I'm him, I would stall and hold out. She's already engaged. I would drag this out until she gets married. Then you go to the judge, and I think she knows that, which is why she's like, hurry up, let's close it so I can get married. So I think there's a little lawyering going on.
This sounds scandalous on both sides.
There's
just some mental games happening here.
I know, and I was talking to my husband about it. My husband's like, when is it okay to, like, future earnings and like, he just kind of felt like, so Magic Mike, the third movie hasn't been made. Is that cool?
Anytime that you create a new intellectual property, for example, Harry Potter, anything that has to do with Harry Potter, whether it's a new movie, whether it's clothes, whether it is a theme park, whether it could be anything, J.K. Rowling is going to get a kick at that.
Yes.
Because it is the intellectual property that we're talking about. So I think it really comes down to what was Jenna's deal when the concept or the brand of Magic Mike was created.
She was there, she was with him, and she actually helped him find the choreographers for it in the court document. She found the choreographers, she moved to London with them, helped them with pre-production. This is what she's saying.
Is she listed as a producer or a creator?
I do not know. And but she's married to him, which is almost a bigger credit.
Of course.
She's the star of his life with heir. So
that is a really tricky one. I think that she has every right to want those things. Whether a judge is going to see it in her favor or not is another story.
And it's interesting. And I do think here in California, with the land of the celebrity and entertainment industry, we see lots of divorces. And I think what she's asking for may not be incorrect, just because the concept, he shot 2 movies. She helped him with and she has choreographers. Speaking of this, like she's a dancer. Jenna Dewan is a dance for Janet Jackson, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. Like,
she's very legit dancer.
Very legit. And so she called up some buddies and did some favors, probably for a discount. And, so it'd be interesting to see what the judge says in regards to money and funds. I mean, divorce is never fun. Oh, and they're also renting their house for $35,000 a month. So if you have $35,000, the house that Jenna and Channing shared together is for rent, people.
Is that available on Airbnb?
I don't think so.
Not under the Airbnb luxuries, huh? Well, I hope that it works out. I would never wish ill will. Divorces are messy enough as they are. I would never... Nobody wants to get to this point, right? Nobody wants to get to the point where your stuff is in court, where your stuff is in the public spotlight. You just want to move on with your life.
You do. And I do think being declared legally single, that's like a newer thing, I feel like.
I have never heard of that.
A judge, you go to a judge with the Kim Kardashians asking for Kanye, I want to restore my name and put me as a single woman.
So this is different than saying, are you single, married, divorced?
It is different because you're still technically married, but you're seen in the eyes as a single woman. So a lot of women do it because they don't want to date and be seen as a married woman.
But when you go on a date, someone's not asking for, you're not checking a box like you are at the DMV.
Like an IRS
You're not saying, am I single, married, or divorced? It is just, are you with someone or no?
My girlfriends have dated guys who were going through a divorce, and they were very forthcoming, like, hey, like, oh, when was your last relationship? I'm going through a divorce. Like, I think that's like an immediate thing that people want to say. I mean, I would want to know if you're going through a divorce.
Absolutely. But that is in terms of your official status. I'd have to say that I don't entirely understand the benefit of wanting to be officially labeled as single or divorced.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I just think press-wise, I mean, they're all actors. They want to be able to say, I am seen by the court of law as a single woman. I think some people feel it's tacky to be considered a married woman dating. I think it's a personal choice.
And by Tinder, huh?
Hey.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us. This is Team Tequila Talks. And always thank you to the House of Strong, Mark Strong, and Radar Online. Our friend Whitney Vasquez over there, always helping us stay up to date with what's going on in the world. Stay tuned and subscribe for a bunch more fun cocktail recipes. We're going to have some really cool tequila features. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye.